This is an important safety notice related to your ideal heating boiler. To check if your boiler is affected, please visit idealsupport.co.uk and input your serial number into the boiler tracker. You can continue to use your boiler. However, we advise you to repressurize your boiler to 1.5 bar, bleed your radiators, and then repressurize the boiler again. Please watch this video carefully for details on how to do this. This is a procedure that can be done by a homeowner and does not require opening the boiler casing. Repressurization of your boiler should be done when it is cool. Please switch off your boiler at the mains and allow 30 minutes for it to cool. Before you start, locate the pressure gauge on your boiler. This may be behind a drop-down door. First, you need to connect your filling loop. As you have a system boiler, you will probably have an external filling loop fitted by your installer. This is likely to look like a metal braided hose loop located either near your boiler or in your airing cupboard near your hot water cylinder. If you cannot locate it, you may need to ask your installer where it was located. The filling loop may be attached at one end only when not in use. You may need to attach the loose end to the connection that is close by on the pipework. Your filling loop may have valves on both ends or on one end only. Slowly turn the valves present so they are in the on position. Water will start to flow into the system and fill it. Watch the pressure gauge on the boiler to see the pressure in the system increasing. When it reaches 1.5 bar, slowly turn the valve or valves of the filling loop to the closed position. If you live in a low water pressure area, your pressure gauge may not reach 1.5 bar. In this case, fill to as close to 1.5 bar as you can get to. Leave the filling loop in place, as we will come back to repeat this process when air has been removed from the radiator. Bleeding your radiators will help to remove any air in your heating system. This will stop any air getting into your boiler and also help your system to run as efficiently as possible. As a minimum, you should bleed the radiator that is at the highest point in your house, as this is where air is likely to congregate. So choose one that is upstairs if you have more than one floor. If you live in a flat or a bungalow on one level, then choose the largest radiator. You can bleed all of your radiators if you have the time, but the most important is the one at the highest point. To bleed your radiator, you will need a radiator key and a cloth or piece of tissue or kitchen roll. You may want to put a towel on the floor, but this process should only release a very small amount of water that will easily be caught with the cloth. The release valve for your radiator will be located at the top on one end. It will have a square nut that fits the radiator key. Some radiators might have a slightly different release valve that looks like a slot. For this type, you will need a flat-headed screwdriver instead of a radiator key, but the process is the same. Use the radiator key to slowly turn the bleed valve. You may hear air escaping through the valve, which might make a hissing noise. This is fine and shows that you are removing air from your radiator. When water starts to be released from the bleed valve, turn the radiator key back to close the valve. You have successfully bled your radiator. Now either move on to the next radiator in your system and repeat the process, or return to your boiler to repressurize it, as the pressure may have dropped when air has been removed from the system. Now back to your boiler and repeat the steps you went through earlier to repressurize your system. You left the filling loop connected, so turn valve or valves on the filling loop to the open position. Watch the pressure gauge on the boiler to see the pressure in the system increasing. When it reaches 1.5 bar, slowly turn the filling loop valves to the closed position. If you live in a low water pressure area, your pressure gauge may not reach 1.5 bar. In this case, fill to as close to 1.5 bar as you can get to. Now return the filling loop to where it was when we started. If you connected one end of the filling loop at the start, then disconnect it to return it to the original position. If your filling loop was connected at both ends, then leave it in this position. Don't worry if water expels during this point. Switch your boiler back on at the mains. Give it a few minutes to run through its setup process. As one final check, we need to get the boiler to switch the heating on. The easiest way to do this is usually to turn your room thermostat up to switch on your heating. We recommend you perform a weekly check to ensure your pressure gauge is 1.5 bar. If it drops, please repeat the steps again. Thank you for completing this process. Don't forget to log on to the Ideal Support website to register for the upgrade your boiler needs. If you have any questions or concerns, please call or email Ideal Support.